All right, we're back real quick with a quick pause in the action. Of course, now we get to the NHL portion, which I know everybody's totally pumped about. Little changes to the draft lottery that they did over the weekend. I think it's a good thing. They are implementing a weighted system utilized to determine the order of selection in the first round of the NHL draft for clubs not qualifying for the Stanley Cup playoffs. So the number of lottery draws used to be 3. Now it's going to be 2, which limits the number of selections the worst finishing club can drop from in the final draft order. So basically, I think the team with the best odds of the number 1 pick can't drop beyond the top 3 now. I think they used to be able to drop to 4 at the worst. So now they can only drop to 3, which is good because the Red Wings got screwed last year. They were so much worse than everybody else. I think they ended up at number 4, so they got hosed. And the rest of it I really don't want to read, so there you go. They fixed the NHL draft lottery. Congrats to them. They're finally figuring out how to get people to start continuing to care about the league, so good for them. This is fun. Tim Peel was fired, a referee. He was fired after – this was last night on a hot mic during Nashville-Detroit game. He said, quote, "It wasn't much, but I wanted to get an effing penalty against Nashville early in the period." So I think he was like trying to control the game because Nashville's starting to get out of control, so he wanted to give them a penalty. So anything that he saw, he was just going to call. And he got caught in a hot mic saying that. He was going to retire after this season anyway, so the NHL was like, you know what? You can retire a couple months early, but we'll say that we fired you. So fun. So fun situation there. And then the other thing I have for this is, will Connor McDavid get 100 points in 56 games? He is at 60 with 22 to play. I think he can do it.
It's going to be tough.
I mean, he's already way ahead of everybody else. You look at the top scorers right now. He's at 60 points in 34 games. His teammate Leon Draisaitl's at 50 in 34 games. Patrick Kane's at 44 in 33 games. Mitch Marner's at 40 in 32 games. Mark Scheifele's at 38 in 32 games. Mark Stone's at 38 in 29 games, and Mikko Rantanen's at 38 in 31 games. So he's going to win the scoring title, and he's probably going to win the Hart, and he's going to win the Art Ross and all that stuff. So now he needs to get 40 points in 22 games. If anybody can do it, it's him, but he's going to be at least at 90, I have to think. So we'll see if that happens. In a couple weeks, we'll check back on that. And now we get into the best part of the show, which is your betting picks of the week.
I was looking this up. I was seeing how many points Post had.
He missed some games, right?
Yeah, he's only played 21 games. He has 26 points.
How many goals does he have?
14 and 12 assists.
That's
Marshy's got 12 goals and 22 assists.
Yeah. So betting picks last week, all my futures are dead.
I have one future left.
The hilarious thing is that my futures all lost in the first round. UConn, Texas, and Ohio State.
I lost North Carolina and Texas. I still have Bama left.
That's not a bad pick. I could see Bama coming out of the East at least. So, in terms of the tournament picks against the spread, I went 4-8. Not great. And then
4-8.
Yeah, because we picked 8 games. We picked
for the tournament, and you're kind of the first 4 in that.
Yeah, I went 1-3 in the first 4, and then 3-4 in the rest. So, not ideal.
I went 4-4 in the tournament itself, and then 1-3 in the first 4.
So we were almost the same.
Yeah, and then I went 2-2 in the NBA NHL.
I went 2-0 in the NHL, 1-1 in the NBA. So 3-1 overall.
So 7-9 overall.
Did you count the futures or no? You just didn't.
I didn't count the futures.
So I was also 7-9. Saved myself with the NHL 2-0. So there you go. All right, we got 6 things to pick this week, I guess, because we're each taking two. You have the left side of the bracket, I have the right side of the bracket for the Sweet 16 spread picks, and then we have two NHL money line games to pick for Thursday, and then we're skipping the NBA because there's no lines on that. But let's get into it now. We'll start with you in the NCAA tournament, the West region, spread wise. What do you like?
I think Gonzaga's going to win, but I'm taking Creighton plus 13.5.
It's a risky pick. Gonzaga knows how to cover. You look at that game against Oklahoma, I think the spread was like 16, and Oklahoma was in 10 the entire game, and Gonzaga still covered. It's tough.
Well, no, I just don't think that. I think Creighton will keep it close enough that they won't lose by more than they won't lose by 14.
It's going to be tough. We'll see. I mean, that's a big battle. It's like 10 times more of a battle to actually beat Gonzaga than covering the spread. The covering the spread is really hard too, but the next game in that is the Pac-12 showdown, right?
Yeah, I'm taking Oregon plus 2.5.
It's a great pick. Oregon's a studly squad. One of my only picks that I'm proud of because I had them in the Elite Eight beating USC. So I'll basically be perfect in this bracket if Oregon and Gonzaga win.
And then I'm taking Florida State plus 3.
Yeah, that's a wise pick. I would take that too.
And I'm taking Bama minus 6.
All right, so you think the Pac-12 mojo for UCLA is going to slow them down? I mean, you look at what Alabama did to Maryland; they obliterated them, and they made everything. So, I can see that happening again. But for me, on the right side of the bracket, I like Baylor minus 6.5 against Villanova. I think Baylor's just a lot better and starting to play well again. There's a reason why I picked them to win it all. They're starting to play well, and then I like Oral Roberts plus 11. I think 11's a bit of a big number with you look at the way they've been playing. I do think Arkansas wins the game. But I think Oral Roberts can cover. But I think we're all rooting for a 15 seed to get the Elite Eight because that would be sweet. I mean, they'd get killed by Baylor, but it would be a fun time. So there you go. And then in the Midwest, I like Syracuse plus 6. I actually think Syracuse wins this game outright against Houston. I'm not gonna pick against a Boeheim double-digit seed team anymore. I don't know what the hell I was thinking in the first place. I didn't even have them beating San Diego State. I thought San Diego State would be too much for them.
No, that was one of the bets I had from the first round was San Diego State win.
They got murdered, man. They got taken to the woodshed or whatever they call it. I mean, that game was
that's the phrase.
I nailed it. Loyola Chicago minus 6.5. I love against Oregon State. I think Loyola Chicago, honestly, I think right now where we stand, I think the Final Four is going to be Gonzaga, Alabama, Loyola Chicago, and Baylor. I think that's going to be the Final Four. I really do.
I think that's going to be a fun matchup between Florida State and Bama.
That would be good too because, number one, similar colors. So you got to think about that, right? The athleticism of Florida State. Can they defend the interior and the perimeter against an Alabama team that has shooters everywhere and then a guy that can go to the rim and score? Here's what Bama does. Bama is all perimeter and then in the paint. They don't do anything in the mid-range of the baseline. They don't do anything there. They either shoot threes or they get inside the paint. That's all Bama does. Can Florida State defend that? If there's a coach that can game plan against that, it's definitely Leonard Hamilton, but that's going to be fun. NHL money line games tomorrow. What do you got for those?
I have Washington minus 215 over New Jersey. And then I have Vegas plus 118 over Colorado.
So I also have Vegas plus the 118. I'm taking Vegas. I'm going all West division for this one. I also like the Blues plus 114 against the Wild. I figure the Blues are starting to get healthier. The Wild and the Blues haven't even played all season, which is weird that it's all divisions. You're only playing 7 other teams, and the Blues and the Wild haven't played yet, and we're 2.5 months into the season. So that'll be interesting. I'll see how we do this week. We'll get back to you on that on the 31st. So this is our second to last episode of March.
But hey, that is what saved me last week. I went 2-0 in NBA and went 0-2 in hockey. So NBA is what saved me last week.
So the NBA is doing some positive for this program. How about that?
Well, not this week.
No. So next week, I think we'll have a Final Four matchup, 2 of them, I think, because I think the Elite Eight ends next Tuesday. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll talk about the Final Four next week. We'll talk about opening day in baseball, which will be the day after next week's episode. All that stuff, and hope you join us. Hope you rate it, you like it, you subscribe to it, and we'll see you on the 31st.
Juices.